So what if I told you that the entire playbook for modern fame, for influencers, for creators, for these huge digital empires, was actually written 40 years ago on a billboard in Los Angeles? Today, we're going to dive into how that old school analog blueprint was completely reborn for a digital world. And it all kicks off with one simple, powerful message. I mean, this was it. This was the entire philosophy of an icon who built her brand on pure mystique. The message wasn't selling you a product. It was simply demanding your attention. This was pure, unapologetic visibility. But then, decades later, that message gets a massive upgrade. The focus shifts from look at me to see yourself in me. It becomes less about, personal vanity and way more about collective validation. And this single change, it's the key to understanding where influence is really heading. So, that's our big question for today. How did the art of being seen transform from just a solo act into a scalable global movement? To find the answer, well, we've got to go back to the very beginning. All right, our story kicks off in the 1980s on the sun-drenched, smog-filled boulevards of Los Angeles. And it starts with a cultural phenomenon who literally invented her own celebrity right out of thin air. Meet Angeline. Back in 1984, she became this local legend. And her strategy was honestly shockingly simple. Buy up billboards and just put her own image on them. That's it. No product, no service. Angeline was the product. She really pioneered the whole concept of being famous for being famous long before we even had a word for influencers. And just think about how tangible, how physical her toolkit was. We're talking giant physical billboards looming over traffic. A bright pink Corvette that was absolutely impossible to miss. In a completely analog world, she built an entire business just on mystique. This wasn't just advertising. It was visibility as a kind of guerrilla art form. Okay, now let's hit the fast forward button. We're jumping from that analog past straight into the digital future to see how that original blueprint was completely re-engineered by a new kind of icon. So in 2025, Soliel James comes onto the scene, and she takes that core idea of radical self-promotion, but she gives it a totally new purpose. She's not just a personality, she's building an entire platform for empowerment. And this right here, this is the heart of the evolution. The medium changed from physical billboards to a whole digital empire. The vibe shifted from mystery to empowerment, and most importantly, the goal evolved from just fame for its own sake to fame with a real mission, to uplift a community. So, how do you actually build a modern movement like this? It's not just about posting pretty pictures, not by a long shot. Behind Soliel James is a deliberate, a repeatable, and a scalable system. Her strategy really boils down to 4 key phases. First, she defined this powerful identity that blended glamour with confidence. Then, she built that presence across every major digital platform you can think of. The third step, though, this is the real game changer. She used AI not just to schedule content, but to analyze audience data, see what resonates, and then systematically monetize that attention. And finally, she scaled it all, not just by getting more followers, but by building a deeply engaged community. And make no mistake, this is not a one-person show. Behind the face of Soliel James is a full-fledged company. You've got a brand director locking in major partnerships, an influencer team managing daily collaborations, and, of course, that dedicated tech team managing the AI and analytics that makes the whole system go. This thing is a well-oiled machine, and it's intentionally designed for growth. Okay, so that all sounds really impressive on paper, right? But what about the results? Does this new model of fame actually translate into real-world impact? Well, the 2030 Legacy Report has the receipts. Let's start with the money. Her mission-driven brand has generated over $20 million in cumulative earnings for the creators inside her ecosystem. But that profitability, it's powered by something even bigger. And that's massive reach. We are talking over 1 billion social impressions across all platforms. This isn't just some niche community. It is a global media force. And that force is truly international. With active members in her mentorship platform, the BILLBOARD Academy, spanning 65 different countries. So when you put all of that together and you look at the total economic footprint, the impact is just staggering. The ecosystem has generated an estimated $80 million in cumulative economic output.
This isn't just influencing culture. It's literally building a new economy.
And you know, this quote from Soliel James herself just perfectly summarizes the whole philosophy. Getting noticed? That was just the first step, the spark. The real goal was to build something sustainable, something that creators could actually own. It's about turning attention into assets. So what does all of this tell us? What's the big takeaway from this evolution, from the analog queen of mystery to the digital empress of empowerment?
Well, it brings us right back to our central metaphor. If Angeline's billboard was a static image on a street corner, what does a billboard look like in our world today?
Yeah, it is no longer just a picture. A modern billboard is an entire system. It's a content engine, it's a community platform, and it's a data-driven business. It's a movement that you can measure, that you can scale, and ultimately that you can own. And that is the true upgrade to the nature of fame.